Hey guys, welcome to, I guess this is technically the second official episode of Horror Heads. We probably should have done this with the first one, but we are stubborn and we like to torture ourselves. So we started with It Follows for our very first episode. But
why did we do that?
I don't know.
Oh well. Not a
believe-
good way to come out of the gates, but anyhow.
I think one of us or both of us were like, it's our duty. We got to do it.
We always have to keep up with the modern stuff, right? Anyhow, that's all right. Today we're going to go back into the vaults and pull out something that's I don't know. I think it'll make up for what we did with It Follows.
I will say that while I don't think this is a great movie that we're talking about this time around, it is definitely a really good movie, and it's a lot of fun. And even though something about we were just talking about before we went on air is if this movie were to be shown nowadays on TV, they probably wouldn't have to do any edits at all to it.
No, they shouldn't, but they probably would just because.
But I watched this movie on Halloween with my wife, and I don't think she'd ever seen it before, but it scared the crap out of her, which was hilarious.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have every year on Halloween day, or Halloween night, I should say, we watch one scary movie, and it doesn't matter what it is, and I kind of know my limits, I'm not going to be like, oh, cool, we're watching a scary movie. I'm going to throw in, I spit on your grave. kind of,
Right. No Cannibal Holocaust or anything, right?
I had just gotten this on VHS, and I was like, yeah, cool, let's watch this. And so I threw in John Carpenter's The Fog. I don't know why, but my wife was just like, had her eyes covered and was like scrunched up and just like, the whole thing. It was hilarious.
So did she like it?
No, not at all. It scared the crap out of her.
Really? Well, I'm glad to hear like an old movie had that kind of effect on somebody in 2016. That's kind of cool.
It was kind of cool. And I almost kind of want to be like, all right, we're going to watch this old movie now too. But the only other horror movies I ever get her to watch are the Svengoolie movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So those are the only ones that she'll watch. Because, those are tame.
Oh, yeah.
You got to admit that, with the Svengoolie ones anyway, when Svengoolie comes on air before any sort of horrific scene comes on, and he's like, all right, guys, there's the really bad scene coming up.
Yep.
And then you have like some guy with a sheet over his head, and he jumps out of the corner and goes, boo. Or something, stupid like that.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I'm glad to hear that. I don't mean I'm glad your wife was scared. I'm just glad that like this movie had like an effect, because it's cool to hear that these old movies can do that. Because you know how you and I talk about how, when our teenagers watch these movies, they're like kind of like looking at their watch and looking at their phone.
Right.
Like, yeah, is this over yet? Kind of thing. So it's kind of cool that it like, somebody in 2016 could watch it and be like, wow, that was effective.
The other thing that I will say about this movie that surprised me the last time I watched it, again, we talked about this before on this show. I think we talked about this when we were talking about Friday the 13th Part 5. But when I was watching this a couple weeks ago, the Stevie Wayne character, who was played by Adrienne Barbeau, I was like, damn. That girl's kind of hot.
She's John Carpenter's ex-wife.
It was just funny as you get older and you're watching these movies and you're like, the mom in this movie is pretty good looking compared to the teenagers. Yeah. Jamie Lee Curtis, who also is in the movie, is nothing to shake a stick at. But yeah, she had nothing on Adrienne Barbeau's character in this movie.
Yeah, it's Did you catch the cast? Like how many Halloween people were in this movie?
I did. And did you catch the other, which I didn't notice until watching it again? Did you catch the other side of that?
Janet Leigh.
Well, there is that, but so you have all of these like Halloween folks in it.
Mm-hmm.
But then the one thing that I thought was really interesting, and again, I don't know if you caught onto this or not, but Tom Atkins' character in this, his name is Nick Castle.
Yes. Yep.
And then
Nick
you have
Castle.
you have another character whose name is Tommy Wallace, and so on and so.
Really?
Yeah, there's one. I mean, he was just like some nobody, but
Okay.
yeah. But there was a couple of them like, oh, that's cool. That's a guy
That
from
is cool.
Halloween. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, this cast, okay, you got Adrian Barbeau, Jamie Lee Curtis, Tom Atkins, Janet Leigh, Hal Holbrook, and although, I mean, for us horror fans, he's also, him and Adrian Barbeau were in the original Creep Show. So it's like, this is like sort of that era where all these were the actors and actresses you saw. And of course, Tom Atkins, and there's a lot of horror fans out there who are kind of cult fans of him and all his movies. Yeah, and Charles Cyphers played the weatherman. He was the sheriff and in Halloween. Nancy Loomis, who I got the pleasure of watching her blow her nose at Flashback.
I actually told that story
And,
while we
she
were
was
watching it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Tom Atkins, he was in the original Creep Show too, so.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
He was. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, because there's a part of that where I was like, "Oh, hey, cool! It's a Creep Show reunion before they made Creep Show. That's kind of cool."
Yes. Yeah, and this is to me, all right. The Fog is one of my favorite John Carpenter movies. I really enjoy this movie. I mean, Halloween to me is like a flawless movie. This movie's not like that, but there's a lot I like about this film. Should we get into like the plot?
Yeah, let's do
and
it.
the storyline. So basically, kind of in a nutshell, 100 years ago in this little town, this little like marine town where there's a lighthouse and it's like right off of the shoreline, and I'm guessing the East Coast probably. But anyhow, there was this group of lepers, and they wanted to form a leper colony on this, I guess, island or whatever it was, peninsula, or I don't know. But anyhow, and the people in the town did not want a leper colony to be brought into, they just thought it was a terrible idea. So they turned off, I guess they turned off the lights in the lighthouses so that when they came, their ship crashed, and then, the whole group of them died. So anyhow, the people of the town stole their gold that they had on the ship, and it kind of built the town on the stolen gold. And then dead lepers, they kind of put a curse on the town. So 100 years later, they would come back for their gold, and they needed to kill basically the same amount of people that were in the leper colony. And I think it was 6 or 7. I could be wrong. I'm just going by totally winging it here. Anyhow, it's 100 years later to the day, and in this mysterious fog, which is coming off the ocean, the ghosts return, and they come to kill and get their gold back, basically. And this priest in the church in this town, he kind of finds out what's going on. Oh, by the way, there's speaking of people in this movie, John Carpenter's actually in this movie. Did you catch that one?
No, I did not.
He's in the very beginning. He's the guy working at the church who turns off a light or something, and then goes to the priest and is like, "I finished my work. Can I get paid now?" And then Hal Holbrook's like, "Why don't you come in late tomorrow?" or something like that. And he's like, "Yes, Father," and walks out.
Oh, so he pulled a
Hitchcock.
A Hitchcock, yeah, that's exactly what I was
Yep.
going to say. He pulled a Hitchcock. That's cool. Yeah,
Yep.
I did not catch on to that at all.
Yeah, he's right at the beginning of the movie. He's when they go to the church, he's the guy who's, I don't know, he's kind of like a long-haired guy who is shutting the church down or whatever. But anyhow, John Carpenter hates that. that cameo. He can't stand it. It's pretty funny when people bring it up.
Weird, John Carpenter hating anything.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty funny.
If we ever have him on the show, we're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Yeah, he doesn't like his movies either.
Dude, we love you a lot. Don't get us wrong. You're awesome. You're a crabby asshole, though.
Yes, he is. But so the lepers come back and basically snip off a few people here and there, and then they, it ends up with them going to the church and getting their gold back. And meanwhile, we've got here's the one thing I want to kind of toss this out at you. We've got two stories going simultaneously in this film. We've got the Adrienne Barbeau character, who is basically works in a lighthouse, and then she's like a single mom, and her son is hanging out at their house and getting babysat when this fog is coming in. So there's this whole story about her, but then we've got this side story with Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis, which is kind of a strange, like, okay, so Tom Atkins is just driving down in his truck, drinking a beer while he's driving. I think he's drinking a Budweiser, by the way. That's probably what we should grab for today. But he and Jamie Lee Curtis is hitchhiking on the side of the road. He picks her up, and like pretty much in all of his movies, he ends up sleeping with her. Just like in Halloween 3, he ends up sleeping with the main girl in the hotel, which is kind of funny. So it's like Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis doing their thing, and then they've got Adrienne Barbeau in the lighthouse doing her thing. I guess what I was going to bring up was, I think, although I enjoy this movie, I think it would have been a better movie had they have picked one of those stories and just did that instead of doing both of them. I think it would have been better because none of the characters really mix well.
That was one of the things that I was thinking about after the most recent time I watched this movie, was not so much about them being the different stories, even though that they were, but it was kind of like, I was thinking of it in the mindset of, when they filmed this movie, did they bring like these people in? Okay, we're going to film your stuff. Okay, we're done with your stuff, and now we're going to bring these people in, and we're going to film your stuff.
Yeah,
because they're never on screen together, which is kind of weird and odd.
It's very weird.
And how you mentioned those two hooking up, Tom Atkins and Jamie Lee Curtis's character. It's funny that this movie is 36 years old, and that type of stuff was happening then, and it still happens now, because you see that all the time where you have this older man come in and pick up this younger woman, and it's completely normal, but you never have the flip side of that. Adrienne Barbeau wasn't going off and picking up some 19-year-old guy and bringing her up to the lighthouse and being like...
Right. Right, exactly. Yeah, so I always thought that, like, the two stories, I mean, although, yeah, I don't know, like, the Tom Atkins, Jamie Lee Curtis story almost seemed like it was shoehorned in or something, because it just doesn't really, like, Adrienne Barbeau in the lighthouse, watching as the fog's coming in and all that was kind of, it just seems to kind of capture the story a little better. But the other thing is, like, basically Tom Atkins is like one of the sailor guys, or he's buddies with them, and, it's just kind of him, like, sort of like, his character it's basically the same character as he is in Halloween 3. It's just some guy who happens upon some situation and ends up deciding to go investigate it, It's like the same exact thing.
My name is Tom Atkins. I'm typecast as the guy who just randomly stumbles upon stuff.
Yeah, exactly. That's all he does. He just stumbles on some, either it's like a mask company, like, or it's out in the middle of nowhere, or it's like, like my buddies get drunk on a ship and now they're missing. So, I got to go, investigate this. And then there's usually some girl with him that's helping him out in the whole thing. So anyhow, besides that point, I love, the score is great. It's got that. I mean, the movie itself, like the ambiance of the film, the cinematography is great. And it's Dean Cundey from Halloween, and John Carpenter obviously directing. So you get like this is basically this is the Carpenter crew from Halloween and up, all the stuff all those people he was with on his independent. And Deborah Hill produced it. Dean Cundey. I think Tommy Lee Wallace was probably somewhere involved in this. Seemed like he's in everything. This is like that original Carpenter team, like the first 3 Halloween movies. Before, and then he hit the big time with The Thing and was doing. So it was all new team. It was a studio he was working with at that point. But so you get the feel. It really feels like Halloween. All the actors. He's using the same people. Nancy Loomis, who played Annie in Halloween. Charles Cyphers, who played Sheriff Brackett. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis, obviously. You've got all the. It's just a kind of cool. And I do like the design of the ghosts. Like especially Blake, the main one. Basically, kind of like a dark shadow with red eyes, and I thought he did a good job with that. And kind of bringing the ghosts in through the fog, and very much like Halloween, how he kind of put Michael Myers out in the background and all of that. And this was actually his second horror film, I think, because this was right after this Halloween, and then he did another movie, and then like because of the success of Halloween, they wanted another horror film, so The Fog was what he did. So it kind of capitalized on the success of Halloween.
Tommy Lee Wallace edited the movie, and then he did the production design as well.
Ah, there you go. Well, that makes sense then.
Yeah, the couple of things that I would throw in there after your explanation of the story is that, well, really one addition to that is this whole thing happens in Antonio Bay, which is on the shore in California, I guess. And
West Coast then.
Yeah, and then the name of the ship was Elizabeth Dane. And the only reason why I bring that up is because you were talking about the score of this movie, and I think we actually played this song a long time ago on this show when we used to play music on this show. Back in the old archaic days of S&M radio.
Ooh, ancient days, yeah.
But there is a German horror metal band by the name of The Vision Bleak that has a song called Elizabeth Dane.
Really?
And they take that opening monologue where you have the old guy sitting around the campfire and he's telling the kids,
yeah,
it's 11:55, almost midnight.
Yep.
Time for one more story. And he tells them the story of this ship, the Elizabeth Dane. Well, the Vision Bleak Band has a song called Elizabeth Dane, and what it is they took the score of the movie and they scrunched it into this like 4-minute song, and that's the song. It's them, it's like drums and guitar and stuff, but it's them playing the different pieces of the score in that one song. So that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
But this,
I think I heard that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, because I think we played it on this show a long time ago.
Oh, okay, that might have been where I heard it.
But yeah, that opening like monologue is, even when I watch it now, I'm like, man, that is so cool. Like, that's creepy, and
it is cool.
You have these, all these kids sitting around listening to this old drunk guy telling stories at the campfire.
Actually, that was tossed in last minute, that whole opening. I don't know if you looked into this at all, but I watched, like, if you watch like the behind the scenes and all this and the documentaries, this movie, when it was complete, Carpenter sat down and watched it and he's like, oh, this sucks. It's not scary at all. So he went back and added, and like they actually had to go back, like the first cut of the film, and he had to go back and they reshot added a whole bunch of new scenes in there. One of the scenes they added was the opening monologue.
Oh, cool.
That was tossed in also. Then this is kind of funny because I find this interesting. Like Carpenter, when he did Halloween, like he was just kind of, he was the original kind of horror movie slasher guy or whatever. So he wasn't using anything maybe outside of Psycho as his like background. There was no like rules, you know. So he didn't really put much gore in. It was all more suspense and ambiance and all that. Then when he went and did when well, he wrote Halloween 2, he didn't direct it, but when he was producing Halloween 2, when it was complete, very much like The Fog, he watched it and he's like, this isn't going to work. We need to add more gore and stuff to keep up with like the horror movies these days. And this is like early 80s. So, you got to think like Friday 13th movies are just starting out and all the slasher films. So anyhow, he went back and added a whole bunch of more like horror type stuff. And if you watch like some of the death scenes in this, I've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this, but when Carpenter tries to do death scenes based on like trying to keep up with the times as opposed to following his own like thing, it always seems a little forced. So like when you watch Halloween 2, like some of the death scenes, like it seems like when it's a little bit too much, whereas the original Halloween, like it just works perfectly. So kind of like that with The Fog, he added a lot of that stuff, like that scene at the end where Adrienne Barbeau is climbing on top of the lighthouse and the ghosts are like attacking her, and she's like, one of them's like right above her and it turns its head and it's like a decaying skull face with maggots coming out and all that, and worms. Like that was added in. Looking back, it's fine and all, but it does, like, kind of when you watch the film, some of that stuff seems a little out of place to the rest of the way he was filming it, and you can see that it did seem like he tossed stuff in, like the boat, the guys in the boat, like he makes sure to show a close up of them, like the knife entering the body, like when the ghost stabbed the guy and all that, and that's all like because he was trying to compete with all the 80s horror at the time.
The scene that comes to mind, which isn't in this one, but it's in Halloween 2, when you talk about Carpenter going over the top, it's the hot tub scene.
Yeah.
I mean, that one is just like, all right, dude, we get it. She's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, he really tried to add that in there. Again, and like Friday the 13th has gore, but it all seems like, it's done well, I guess, or like it's incredibly gory for its time, especially. But it like feels like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, Kevin Bacon's laying in the cot and an arrow's coming up through his neck, or the girl in the outhouse gets the axe in her head, and it's all very, that was all Tom Savini, and Carpenter like was the guy who started all this horror, like 80s horror, basically late 70s, early 80s horror, and his original Halloween didn't really have any of that stuff. So now he has to kind of compete with all the guys that are copying him who are actually making it more bloody. And so he's not trying to keep up with it with all this gore and stuff. And with Carpenter, I don't know that he does gore very well. Like the Friday the 13th movies, the gore works perfectly for the films. But with Carpenter, it seems almost like he's trying to be like that. Do you know what? You agree with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, Tom Savini just had a birthday the other day, and I believe he turned 70.
Holy crap, man. What is going on?
I think that's how old he is.
Wow. That's weird. 70 years old.
Yeah, he reminds me of Sylvester Stallone when you see him, and you're like, wait, you're how old?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm 40. You look better than I do. Damn it, stop it.
Stallone's like, yeah, he's in his 70s too now.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, he's up there.
Ridiculous. Well, I mean, if you're a millionaire, then you can afford the growth hormones and all that stuff. But Stallone looks kind of funky. I don't know if I watched a behind the scenes thing with him, or like a YouTube thing of he was at a pizza place in California and some fans were videotaping him with their camera. And he came out. It's really weird. Like he looks like his body, the way he moves and stuff is like kind of like the way or like certain things about him have this old man kind of thing, but he's like young in like it's I don't know how that like there's like a 20-year-old trapped in a 70-year-old's body, so he moves kind of like he's sort of like young because of all the exercise and whatever, but at the same time it's like a 70-year-old body.
Yeah,
and it's hard to explain. It's just something's really weird about it.
We were watching a football game earlier today, and they were talking about one of the coaches on one of the teams. He just turned 79, And they showed like a close up of his face or whatever, and they were like, "Yeah, he doesn't even look a day over 60." And he didn't, but that was what I was thinking too. I'm like, he's 79 though. He's on the sidelines. He's probably walking around over there with a limp, going, "Huh? What'd you say?"
Right.
But,
right. That's funny.
But back to The Fog, one of the things that I did notice about this movie that we've talked about before, which is kind of funny, which we haven't really talked about before yet, anyway, is that Adrienne Barbeau's character, she does work at this lighthouse, but she's running a radio station from the lighthouse, and it's almost comical now when you watch this, especially when you get towards the end of the movie, because her son is back at their house with the babysitter. And she sees this fog rolling in, and she goes on air, and she's like, "Hey, Sheriff, can you call me at the station, please? And, hey, if you're listening over here, can you go and make sure this is happening and stuff?" And you're like, "Why don't you pick up the phone?"
Yeah, and when she starts freaking out. Yeah, there's some weird kind of inconsistencies with the film. Like, she knows like the fog's coming in, and she's assuming that it's dangerous, and she doesn't really even know, I don't think. But then she like has a meltdown and is like, "Is there anybody listening to this? You know, my son is alone in the house. Go get him. Here's my address. Go save my son." It's like she has some strange knowledge that that's happening, but there's no way she would have known that. There's no way she would have known that the ghosts were coming out of the fog. You know what I mean? Other than that weird experience she had with the piece of wood, that driftwood that her son found. But even that is like could have been like a hallucination because it was so quick. I mean, if you saw that happen, like you looked at a piece of wood and it said like Bible die or whatever it said, and then it turned back to whatever it said previously, you wouldn't be like, "Oh my gosh, this really happened." You'd be like, "Holy crap, what did I eat last night?" You know, and then you wouldn't think about it again.
I would like to say one of the many changes that is coming with the podcast is not only will you get me doing crappy impressions of people in the future, Mark is going to be doing his own interpretations as well.
Didn't I do a great Adrienne Barbeau? It sounded just like her, didn't it?
It was spot on. I couldn't believe it. I was like,
thought it was.
"Oh, hey, she's still here."
You were like, "Oh my gosh, he just turned the movie on. He had it set to that scene and everything."
Yeah, one of these days after we hit it big in the podcasting world, we'll start doing that. We'll just be able to cue stuff up like instantaneously.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. Yeah, once we I bet you we could do that somehow. I mean, figure it out.
It would take so much editing. I think about that all the time too when we're doing, because the way that when I do the score like under us talking and stuff.
Yeah.
I always like, when we're talking about multiple movies and stuff, I'm like, okay, I should go in, I should time it. So when we get from this point to this point, I should play this song, and we get to this, and then I get into it. I'm like, oh man, I've already been spending like 5 hours on this. Screw it, I'm not doing that.
Right. Yeah, you're doing all the work for this.
Yeah.
I just come here and have a beer and talk. It's like just hanging out for me.
He's like, just get it done, dude. I don't care what it takes. It's fine.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I got to watch a movie I haven't seen. It's like, oh, I got to watch a movie this week. But yeah, then I end up like, if it's an old movie, I typically love it. And if it's past 1989, I'm like, oh, that sucked.
And so for the second half of the show, we're going to talk about the 2005 remake.
Here's the only thing I'll say. When it came out, I rented it. I watched it once, and I've never watched it again.
I've never seen it, so
it's one of those. Okay, this was back when the WB was like tossing out all their actors and actresses into the horror world, and they were turning horror movies into like these teeny bop WB films. And I hate to say it, but like even My Bloody Valentine 3D kind of fell for that trap. And I do like that movie. It's the only one I like, but The Fog like really suffered. I think like the guy who played Superman from Smallville was in it, and it was like PG-13, really really toned down, really really computer generated, really really not worth your time.
I should probably watch it now. I loved Smallville.
Well, But do you really need to see that character in The Fog?
No, not at all.
PG-13. Well, I guess it's funny because this would probably be PG-13 now, watching it in
Yeah,
2016.
probably.
But
It's funny. It was doing some digging and just random as I brought that up, like jokingly. So the original movie has a 71% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The remake has a 4% rating.
nice.
So if
Oh,
that tells
good.
you anything about it.
That explains it all. Yeah, the originals. This is a great Carpenter film. It's got I mean, this is like John Carpenter in his prime. It's actually, like his original idea for the Halloween series was to do like a non Michael Myers film every year. Like it was going to be a annual anthology film. So it was going to be, and it was starting with Halloween 3. That was when he was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So every Halloween's going to be like another movie about Halloween, but it's not going to be Michael Myers related. I always in my head, although The Fog doesn't really have anything to do with Halloween per se. I mean, they could have put it on Halloween night. This to me would have been a perfect movie for that anthology. Like, this could have been like Halloween 4 or even Halloween 2, if he was gonna if that ended up not being made with Michael Myers.
Oh yeah, with the cast that they used in Halloween, and
Yeah.
because that's one of the cool things that, like, if you watch like some of these anthology shows now, like American Horror Story, is they
Right.
have the same cast every year, or at least
Yeah.
some of the same cast every year.
Yeah, this would be like the same thing. Like, and then, Halloween 3. So say this was Halloween 2, you would have had, Halloween, The Fog would be Halloween 2, and then Halloween 3 with the Silver Shamrock and all that. And it would kind of fall right in line. And that's, the progression of how the timeline of when they were made and everything. But so that actually The Fog is one of my annual October films that I watch every year. And I thought I wasn't going to do it this year, but I did, which was cool. I got to see it again before. I think it was well, maybe I saw it in November. Oh well, but I did watch it this year, and it's usually the first movie I put on that's horror related to get me in the mood.
It kind of does have that feel to it, just kind of that eerie. It's the whole movie's dark, and it's like this fog coming in off
Yeah,
the water, and
yeah, it's a very dark. Yeah, the film is very a lot of night shots and a lot of really good lighting. And that's Dean Cundy who does that. He did such a great job in the original Halloween, and you can tell, like, you watch this and you watch Halloween, and you could see it's the same team behind it. I remember probably the scariest scene as a kid when I saw this movie, because I saw this on TV when I was pretty young. Probably the scariest scene to me was when the old lady gets it. I always thought that was really creepy. Like the little kid and the old woman watching them, and then like he leaves, and like she opens the door to check out who's knocking, and then the fog comes in, and the ghosts come and grab her. That was always the creepiest scene. Actually, this movie is one of the movies that you don't hear much about when it comes to Carpenter. I mean, obviously Halloween, The Thing, They Live, those are the top ones that most people bring up and talk about. Or yeah, but The Fog is like one that there's not many. Like even when you watch interviews, people typically don't bring this one up as much.
this one falls right into that heyday of Carpenter. I know we talk about Carpenter a lot on this show. I'm a little bit more critical of him than you are. From his very beginning, well, I shouldn't say the very beginning, but from Assault on Precinct 13 through Big Trouble in Little China. I don't know if he really made a bad movie in there. And then after that, it kind of was pretty much miss for the most of the movies after that. Even though I really liked the movie Vampires in the 90s. But yeah, this movie it's a lot of fun. You're a fan of the older 80s, late 70s style of horror. This is a fun movie to throw on and kicking back on a rainy day or something.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um,
Got everything you need for a good, solid horror flick.
Yeah, like you said before, too, this has all of the classic elements of Carpenter, the camera work, the lighting,
The score.
the overstretching on some of the kills.
Yeah. Kind of added on kills. Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll be back next week with another horror movie. In the meantime, check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Just look us up, Horror Heads. We'll talk to you next week.
Cool. See ya.